Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order for the Polk County Board of Commissioners for Tuesday, January 30th, 2024. All commissioners are present, and please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first item up is comments for items that are not on this agenda. All right, hearing none. Next up is approval of minutes of January 23rd.
Also move.
Second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next up, Mr. Whitaker, you have the rest of the meeting. Declaring surplus property.
Let him know that.
Well, it's 15 minutes. I mean, the rest of the meeting.
He brought his muscle with him today, so I'm good.
It looks cold.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning.
I trust that you've been forwarded the list of additional items that we need to declare surplus that have not previously been declared. And so we're asking for the board's approval on those. If you want me to go through item by item, I can do that, but I'll have to borrow your copy.
You need a motion, sir? Yeah, I move to declare the equipment presented as surplus property.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pass unanimously. Next. Safe routes to schools.
Yeah, we are here today, present in front of the board for the issuance of a notice of intent to award for the Safe Routes to School project. Awarded to, low bidder is North St. Anne Paving, in the amount of $966,361.50. We did discuss this yesterday. If there's any other questions after that, and be happy to answer those now that you've had a chance to look through the packet that was provided. So
I think for public's knowledge, could you give a rundown of what this is, where it is, what it entails, just quick briefing?
yeah, so this is a Safe Routes to School project on Hoffman Road and Gun Club at that intersection. We're doing sidewalk improvements along Gun Club Road. This is also a partnership with the City of Independence, where we're putting in some sidewalks along Gun Club Road, some rectangular rapid flashing beacons at the crosswalk at Marigold, and also adding well, there's already a crosswalk, but we're actually going to be extending the crosswalk slightly at Gun Club Road due to City of Independence's adding a turn lane from the northbound lane on Gun Club Road. So really, this project revolves around safety improvements for pedestrian access. And that's kind of the main scope of the project. But
I move to approve the notice intent to award to North St. Anne Paving for the Safe Routes to School project presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Thank you for all this work and for working with the city on this and making the compromises and getting it done.
Took a little longer than we wanted.
This one's been a challenge.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. All right, now a Public Works Department update.
Okay, I believe you've each been sent a copy of the Polk County Public Works 2023 annual report. Had a chance to look through that. I'm not going to go and read it to you, so Matt can stay awake. But what I will do is go over some bullet items of things that are upcoming that we're currently working on, and then open it up to ask any questions about information that's presented in the annual report. So projects we're currently working on that are upcoming, as the Safe Routes to School project you just approved the notice of intent to award on. The work that's going to start first probably in February is a little bit of tree clearing that's included with that, and then there will be might be a little lull in construction, and then road construction work will start in June when it's drier. Another project is our Federal Lands Access Program project on Mitchell Street in Black Rock. That's being delivered by FHWA out in Fall City. They're wrapping up tree clearing, should finish that this week or next. They'll be doing some culvert work upcoming, and then erosion control devices, and then again in June, the heavy work will start. Stephen, have you seen a preliminary schedule? Do we know when they're anticipating completion?
November
November?
2024.
Another project we've got is an arts project out at Clow and Riddle, where we're adding a through route activated warning system, similar to what they've got out on 99 at Clow. And that's been under contract for, again, quite a few years, and just trying to get the time to get it finished. We have materials on hand for that now. And we'll have that complete by the end of the summer, early fall. Another arts project is signage and striping. The striping on that project is about 2/3 complete. We'll put on a third coat this spring. And then our materials for the signage improvements we'll be ordering, and this is all to improve curve warning signs and delineations on a select number of major collectors that we have. And we'll complete that again in 2024. Elmick Road Bridge is another project that is going to be coming. That will be delivered by ODOT. There's actually there's a little mini project prior to that. We're going to do a bridge strengthening there to try to lift the load rating on that. But now that these things have been delayed and everything else, I'm not sure that there will be a whole lot of value. We just need to see when they intend to start the project and how many years of help we get out of that improvement. But we believe that our bridge crew can construct those improvements themselves. And then the big project, recall that they moved, I think, 500,000 or something like that into the 21-24 STIP cycle so that they could get the design started. But just been some delays in them getting the RFP out. So that's happening in 2024. It could have technically been in either STIP because the next one's 24-27. We've got a large culvert on Corvallis Road. It's not that it's so large, it's how deep it is. And it's been deteriorating over the years, and we're having discussions with the City of Independence about having them take over jurisdiction of that road, which would be out to the center line, because on the other side of the road, the east side of the road is still in the county. And they went through and were doing their due diligence and saw that culvert and said they wanted that replaced before they went forward with transferring jurisdiction there. So the difficulty with that pipe, it's a 42-inch pipe that's 14 feet deep. So it's going to be a large, complicated project. I'm crossing my fingers that we don't have a lot of utilities in that area. It looks like all of the city's utilities are go the other direction through their subdivisions, but we might have a little bit of water, phone, power, stuff like that there. So that's going to be a large project. I don't know whether we'll get that delivered in 2024 or not. Just depends on hoops we have to jump through.
Will there be a lot of road closure?
I anticipate there'll be a road closure there. Yeah, now it may.
It's too deep not to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do it in hands and trench plate it. But it'd be a challenge. I think we get better bid prices to just go ahead and close it, but that's, pretty major road to shut down. The other thing we might consider, just depends on how the contractor wants to do it. If they just want to go straight down and just put in straight shoring, 14 feet deep and have a machine that can dig to 20 feet deep, because that's what it'll be to the bottom of the bedding. You know, then you could possibly do night work and then trench plate it during the day. And maybe get away with only nighttime closures. But they might also approach it, like, if you remember the Zenith,
Yep.
over how that benched back and the top of that trench was 80 feet wide. So we could end up with that type of an approach also. So I just need to get a design on it and then get with contractor and start getting estimated prices and stuff like that. So stay tuned on that. Any questions on the annual report or any of these projects?
Have you seen any relief for just materials prices for paint, rock, chip seal, oil, whatever?
Not yet.
Is it stabilized?
Yeah, it kind of went up like this and then
Now
it
it's-
stabilized.
This feels pretty good.
Yeah,
Okay, just curious.
Came down.
I mean, we're looking at right now grader replacements. We've got one grader that's kind of reaching end of life, and look at the price of a new grader versus when we paid for that one, and it's averaged 6.5% inflation for those 11 years. That's pretty steep.
Yes, it is.
So this, this question probably reaches into more of Hanson world than your world, but I'll ask you to see if you can take a stab at it. On the funding side, revenue side of things, and we're constantly struggling right now with our arguments with the state on share, revenue share, and new plans for revenue improvements. I'm curious about where we are receiving our expectations. Are we getting the money that we expected to get this year and during this budget year, and how has that compared to the last couple of years? So I'm looking for, are we getting the revenues that we're supposed to be getting, even though it's not enough?
By category or by amount?
Tell me what that means.
I mean, by category, yes, we're receiving our gas taxes, we're receiving these other things by amount. Some of them have a lot of fluctuation, but they're fairly small dollar things, and they might go from 20,000 to 250,000, but that's still fairly small. Gas tax revenues, we've continued to get those. I don't know if those are tracking above plan or below.
They are tracking, they're usually within 1 or 2%. Lately, they have been tracking above what they project. Todd gets an updated projection about once every 3 months. So we're probably receiving about $7.4 million in gas tax money, and that's dedicated only for roads or road related work. And then is County Forest Trust Land General Fund. That's a big roller coaster. But other than that, Todd's revenues have been pretty steady. The big fluctuations are the grants that they may receive, LAP and all that stuff that spikes his revenues. And unfortunately, which we haven't had lately, is emergency management FEMA reimbursements on storms, and that they tend to be 1 or 2, I'm being nice, year delays in when you finally receive the revenue from the work you did during the event that occurred. So, but revenue wise, Public Works is projecting very well. They've had their largest budget this last year, and that was project oriented, a lot of it. So that budget will go down, but overall Public Works is pretty healthy. It also depends on, greater replacements or big projects that they're taking on without grant funding. So.
And then trying to figure out the right way to word this. What's your take on where we are in our interactions with ODOT and operations and maintenance? So it's apparent out there, and we've been being told that ODOT has pared back considerably in their operations and maintenance, and clearly there are places out there in our county on state roads that are demonstrating that or showing that from, at least from my point of view. And I think most of us would agree. And is that impacting your burden, your workload, and or are they even asking you to help in any way to make up for any of those shortfalls?
So if you're talking about pavement condition,
Along with spraying, mowing, bridge work,
right,
et
so
cetera.
yeah, some of that they've been seeming to do less of. Other stuff, they're doing a better job. Like, I really think that ODOT's doing much better job in our area on snow and ice removal in the past 5 to 8 years. Even though it's different from maintenance shop to maintenance shop, we've got 3 maintenance areas in our county. We've got Corvallis doing the south part of the county, we've got Salem doing the east part of the county, and we've got McMinnville doing the central and west part of the county. And so they each do things just a little bit different. Salem and McMinnville seem to have taken care of this last storm very similar. Benton County was a little bit different, and so those roads stayed a little more challenging for a little bit longer. So that part of it, I think they've really improved. Pavement management, that gets into, okay, is this a maintenance overlay or is this a 3R project? You know, where they have to go through their whole process of a capital improvement and stuff like that, not maybe necessarily considered maintenance. And I don't want to dive too far into their world because I don't understand it. But yeah, I've heard a lot of complaints about the roadside mowing over the past few years. That's been a growing complaint from folks. That's even been a growing complaint against us, you know, as we battled with equipment problems and breakdowns and, you know, trying to get some things going there that we've had vegetation management issues. Spraying, I don't know much about their spraying program. Hard for me to comment there.
Yeah, that's essentially non-existent at this point now, from my observations. And again, from the position I sit in on a state board, where we've sent them letters directly from a state agency board saying that the law says you have to do these things. You have to take care of noxious weeds. And with that, then since I've just opened that door, interested to know where are we now to the point of an annual report about vegetation management. What is our policy? What is your plan? And how does that work going forward into 2024?
So our vegetation management plan is on paved roads, we spray to the bottom of the ditch. And then we typically spray aquatic listed because we don't know when we're going to be close to water. And then on gravel roads, we will spray some of the gravel roads, but those tend to be more mowing on that. Brushing just seems to be an ongoing thing where we just keep going around the county and pushing everything back. And we don't really plan to change any of those. The cost of spraying continues to climb. But we've kept the scope pretty much the same. And then obviously we do more limbing and stuff like that. We got a big help, if you will, in 2021 with that ice storm. That took down a lot of limbs and stuff like that. And so now when we have a windstorm, we're not experiencing as many power outages and limbs across the roads and stuff like that, because that pretty well cleaned things up. You know, it was a disaster at the time. So I don't anticipate changes in our approach to vegetation management.
And is there a fortified protocol for vegetation management on noxious weeds?
There is not so much protocol. It depends on the noxious weed. So what we've done is make sure that our brusher mower operators know what Japanese knotweed is and not to mow it, but let us know, and then we get a sprayer out there to spray it. Probably the most prevalent thing that we've got in the county now is wild carrot. it just invades those, you know, right of way areas that, you know, are low nutrient, you know, or they get sprayed out and then the wild carrot comes back and it's really, really hard to control. So we get some complaints about that. And then there's been the poisonous hemlock problem that's cropped up. I've also seen an increase in the cow parsnip that's out there. And I saw some new weed last year that I got a picture of. I'm not exactly sure what it was, and I never did get it identified, but my guess is it's a noxious weed.
So the bottom line is though, that you do call your spray contractor and target those things as you
Yeah,
see that.
But like if it's wild carrot that extends all the way to the right of way line, no, we don't do that. And I'm not sure that, you know, just based on my own experience spraying my fence lines around the farm, it's like when you spray it out, that seems to be where the wild carrot comes in. It's the only thing that'll grow there. And so it starts taking over. So I don't know whether that's encouraging it or not.
We hear about Scotch broom out across mostly the western half of the county. And so is there anything specific that your department does that targets that particular weed?
I don't recall having any discussion about Scotch broom in 5 or 10 years. I think there might have been some long time ago out around Barnhart or something like that, or Gage, but I haven't heard anything in quite a while about it.
How many times a year do we spray? I mean, you have the spring.
We have a spring and we have a fall.
Okay.
And in the spring, we're doing most of our roadside stuff for grass and new growth control. And then in the fall, we're typically targeting blackberries and other more resilient varieties, cattails that are clogging up ditches and things like that.
Okay.
Big kudos to your road crews during the recent winter event. Appreciate that. I got
Thank you.
some texts and calls saying, hey, thanks. All that work. So
Yeah,
you
that
can't
was,
do everything, but
that was a real tough one to manage, the way that
yeah,
sleet came down and then just started compacting, and like we made a decision to let it set because in its fluffed up form, it provided a little bit better traction. We started second guessing that as time went on and it kept compressing and getting slicker and slicker. But then when the freezing rain came on it, we were able to get underneath it and start popping it off. But ODOT roads cleared out before ours did. And I don't know whether that was due to the higher ADT with that light fluffy sleet that was coming down that did most of it just blow off. Or did their approach to, you know, plowing them early and putting de-icer down, did that do the trick? But theirs seemed to get opened up before ours did.
They also have less shade and tree areas that prevent their pavement.
Yeah, they probably heat up a little quicker.
I just like to point out also, great job to you and your crew on having the highest pavement condition in the state. I don't think anybody's won this other than us for the past 3 or 4 rounds. So
Yeah.
that just says what you and your staff and the quality work you do and take care of our roads for all of us. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and I think to that also, I mean, I've always remarked over my tenure here about how much Polk County Public Works is able to accomplish with its budget and its crew. It really is quite remarkable. It's certainly something for all of us to be proud of, and certainly for you, proud of the work that you do and the leadership of that program. It is sad for me when I hear other agencies, even counties, that say, well, there's just not enough money to do all these things. Like, wow, there are examples you could watch that would demonstrate otherwise. So,
And to some extent, to a large extent, that's true, you know, in their position, because they've gotten behind and the cost to make those improvements now is so much more. They didn't get the road bonds passed, and you know, that was a real key to the county, was getting those 2 road bonds. And then, you know, once you're up up on a plane. It doesn't take nearly as much gas to keep the boat going.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
Taking care of those road bond projects is really what
yeah,
the longevity of those investments. is.
Right.
What year was our last bond?
2005,
6.
6.
Pretty amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks so much.
Alrighty. Thank you.
Do we have any non-listed items? Okay, we are adjourned.